As if you haven't been through enough in the off-season, just really bad news last week about Angus. Just what's been the reaction of the team to that one?
Yeah, I'm not going to undersell that. That's a big loss for us, both on and off the field. On field, he's obviously a terrific player that can play almost any position on the ground at any time as well, and a great leader for us. And off the field, he probably is that guy that generates all the spirit in the change room. So it's certainly a gap to fill. We'll put that to the players in due course in terms of filling that. On field, you'll probably see Tom Sparrow, Jack Viney, these sort of guys really take that role. And off the field, I mean, it's all of us to step up and bring that energy and spirit that Angus did. But so as a diehard Melbourne supporter that I am quite devastated about the fact that we're not going to be going through with Angus Brayshaw this year. And as a friend, I'm also very devastated in terms of what's happened. Tiny bit of a sense of relief in terms of the concussion battles he's had that it now is no longer. But yeah, in terms of, he's just signed a 5-year contract. He's a premiership teammate. He's a very, very, very good friend. It's just been cut short a little bit earlier than what I thought it'd be.
How is he?
He's well. We've had a lot of conversations. He did bring me into the loop pretty early on, and we've since had a nice bottle of Grange to talk about the premiership year and also the 10 years of times we had. It's pretty quickly, like the first half an hour is quite emotional and some tears flowing there, and then straight into it we're talking about Paul Roos stories. And I'm not sure if you remember, day one pre-season, Angus Brayshaw almost did a 25-kilometre session with Christian Petracca and they got hung out to dry. That gets brought up pretty early on, so yeah, I can smile about it now, and so can Angus, but yeah, it's obviously quite emotional at the time.
You shouted the Grange?
No, our lovely sponsors are Penfolds. I was always going to get in at some point. I need my Grange now. I need it refilled because we've gone through it, but it actually was his draft year, which was a nice touch.
Do you feel like the group has something to prove? There's probably like an external storyline developing that you guys have to prove something this year, given everything that's happened?
I don't think the external storyline necessarily makes us want to prove anything. It certainly is our own storyline of losing 4 finals in a row is why we want to prove something. We have put ourselves in great positions, which I love the fact we put ourselves in those positions. Top 4 is incredibly hard to do, and we've done it 3 years in a row. But we've sort of been embarrassed on the final stage 4 times at the MCG, twice against sides that aren't from Melbourne, and all 4 of them we led at some point during the game. Maybe Collingwood we might not have, but we certainly got close. That's what we want to sort of prove to our supporters and those in the external world, that we have improved over this last little bit. We have looked at those finals, and it's something we want to get right.
So is that the feeling, embarrassment? What you?
Certainly in terms of those 4 finals. I mean, I'm not embarrassed about our ability to be able to play top 4 and be able to be in the pointy end every time, and even the way we play our games, I'm not embarrassed. But losing 4 finals, that's the feeling you get straight away. Yep.
If the powers that be came to you and said, is Clayton Oliver ready to play round 0, would you say yes?
Clayton Oliver is so day by day that round 0 being 12 days away, or 11, I'm not sure where we're at. I think it's still too far away. At the moment, he's training really well. He played a pretty good 3 quarters against Richmond the other day, and we'll play another 4 quarters this week against Carlton, I think, in the VFL. I'm not sure if I'm breaking any news there, but and then we'll sit down as a group with Clayton and talk about how he's going and how he's feeling. I want to set Clayton up for an unbelievable season. I want to set Clayton up for the rest of his life. So round 0, I'd love to get 4 points against Sydney, and that's what we're trying to do. But the Clayton Oliver part is just a different story to that. It's set him up to succeed rather than 4 points.
It's been a big off-season. How do you feel you're set for this season, and how do you feel you're set in terms of your premiership window, given you have made the pointy end 3 seasons in a row?
Yeah, it's been a big pre-season in terms of how much I've been in the media, but it's certainly in terms of when we go train, we just think it's training, if that makes sense. It hasn't been weighing too many people down with what's been going on. I think we've had a really good summer. We've been able to get some miles into a lot of players. Jack Billings has come across, Shane McAdams come across, and hopefully made us better. Caleb Windsor could be a sneaky chance to play in these early games. So I think we're a better team, and I think I heard Darcy say about Collingwood, that the same Collingwood won't win it this year, and that's 100% correct. The same Melbourne won't be able to finish top 4 this year. We had to improve and get better, and hopefully we will.
How much of a focus have you put on inside 50 and accuracy this off season?
It's been touched on. There is 3 phases of the game. 2 of them we have been very good at, but one key thing in football is you've got to focus on your strengths as well. So we've touched on it. We've looked at those 4 finals about where our offense broke down, but our contest and defense broke down as well. Our defense we got 100 points scored against us, potentially in the Brisbane final 2 years ago. So it's something that we got to touch on. Obviously, offense is the talking point externally, but defense and contest have been given a fair run this year as well.
Given what you've seen firsthand with Gus, do you think the game is doing enough to protect guys in that situation and sort of work with them in the industry?
I think it is now, yeah. I'm not as schooled up in this space, and I also don't know what the next move is for the AFL, but I certainly know from Gus's close friend, I can make a comment that Gus was well looked after from first concussion to last concussion. So I'm not sure what more they could have done in that space, but I'm sure Gus would stand here today and he'd say he's had incredible support from the AFL.
Following the concussion class action, you're saying that the AFL has been attempting to give the players responsibility.
Unfortunately. I wish I was schooled up in this space, but I'm not. I don't know much about the class action. All I know is me as a player personally, I've never been concussed, but I feel incredibly supported if I did with what we have in place at our football club, from doctors to even, I think it's a big aspect that the football club has to be involved and the coach has to be on board. And like I said, if Angus was standing here today, I dare say I'd give the same answer.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, guys.